Hello, my friends. Today we're talking to Slava, the CEO at Auriga, and we discuss how outsourcing developers has become more mainstream in the wake of COVID-19, how Auriga allows their engineers to easily change projects to keep things fresh, and why passionate engineers build better products. All of this right here, right now, on the ModernCTO Podcast.
This is the Modern CTO Podcast.
So my name is Vyacheslav. So I'm the CEO of Auriga. And Auriga is a company which develops custom software for on outsourcing basis. My primary area of interest, software development for mostly embedded and firmware. And initially I was like a hardware engineer, but with some time I understand pretty well that it's better to be a software guy. And I changed my color. I graduated from Moscow Engineering and Physics Institute. And also I've made my PhD there, and I've been stuck with Motorola Microprocessor System Laboratory. So now it's free scale. And I'm pretty proud that I've been a part of that. And in the year 2000, actually, I joined Auriga, joined as like a normal engineer. So just a normal engineer who has to develop something for the company. It was maybe not my first job, but I believe it was the right choice. And being here, actually, I was like an engineer, a project manager, a program manager, technical account manager, director of engineering, chief technology and delivery officer, chief quality officer. And in 2014, I was appointed to a position of general manager. And in 2019, I was appointed to a position of CEO. So now I'm CEO. Now I'm the big boss, really big boss. And actually, I'm feeling myself pretty good. And this is actually a good example how young IT professional can pace from like engineer to CEO position in just, 20 years. So it's possible. So it's our world. And I believe actually it's our pretty good social elevator. So, and because of that, I invite and welcome everyone to be an IT guy. So having that, my history in mind, actually, it helps me pretty good when I have to address any issue that I'm facing as a CEO. So when I have any incoming task, then I can address it to any of my engineer, because I know who can do what. And of course, actually, it makes some adjustment. So of course, actually, I understand myself, what could I do when I was just an engineer? What I would like to do when I'm like a CEO? So I can just highlight it from different angles, and it works and helps me a lot. And also it helps me a lot when I'm talking to our clients. So our clients would like to see that actually I'm a technical guy, I'm a firmware guy, and formal hardware engineer. And that works pretty good, especially when we're working with German engineering companies. So a little words about Auriga. So Auriga is like a software company, and we conduct so-called custom software development for our clients.
Oh, cool.
So everything we do, belong to our clients. And initially it was just a small company, so it was started 30 years ago. So we've been just maybe like a partner of Hewlett-Packard. And it was like a Hewlett-Packard initiative just to check whether like ex-Soviet engineers, Soviet Union engineers, good enough just to work for Western market. And Hewlett-Packard just took this initiative, and we conducted several projects for them. And I would say that was a pretty good start for us. And now we have celebrating our 30 years. We have more than 600 employees worldwide.
Wow.
So we have 7 engineering centers in Europe and Eastern Europe. And we have 13 engineering labs of different types. And actually that feels me pretty proud.
That's very cool. So you guys are worldwide.
Yeah, worldwide. So mostly in Eastern Europe, Russia, a little bit in United States. But technically, we feel ourselves like Americans. So, and maybe I would say 99% of our business in North America and Western Europe. We're still pretty good in embedded development, so it was our initial basement. And having that in mind, it helped us to help our partners in medtech. Medtech guys like to have someone reliable.
Right.
And guys who have like hardware background, who know how to code drivers firmware, they looks very, very reliable, and this is very important for our medical partners.
Oh, cool. So you do work with med tech stuff?
Yeah, exactly. So we may use more precise statement. We develop medical software
Very cool.
for medical device manufacturers. So it's pretty important. So it's not health information system. It's not any database management. It's nothing with HIPAA. We're ready, but most of our business is like software for medical devices.
So if you're not dealing with the big data in health and HIPAA, what kind of regulation is involved with the software that you're developing for the medical devices, and how do you navigate that?
So I would say we have to confirm the FDA requirements when we are talking about North America, and MDR requirements when we're talking about Europe. So it's highly regulated market. And despite the fact that we, as a company, do almost nothing with HIPAA, but we still work with big data. So we are not the personal data operator, but we can develop some algorithm, and we're pretty good at that. I would say that so in this particular case, when we're talking about medtech, our engineers and our company works as like an advisor. We can explain our clients that using this technology, we can achieve this or that. And being trusted partner for them, it helps them to listen to us. So because they understand maybe that we are not going to take this part of the business to us. And they are talking quite freely to us. So it helps. It helps to build trust. And I would say that it's a lot of things about building trust when you're working for medical device manufacturers. Highly regulated market. They would like to see everything. So I cannot say that it's totally open book, but in general, we have audits of our client every year. They come to our premises. They interview our engineers. They check in everything, whether everything is okay, whether something is not okay. We have a list of issues and corrections that we have to address. And it's just not just an engineering things. It's just like human resources, like business development, like financial statement. It's this general building infrastructure, so everything. So being part of this business, it's very complicated and very rewarding.
Yeah, I know a little bit about the software development consultancy space because we had another company come on recently called Formidable. Their CTO, Ryan, came on. And they specialize in web app development, but they do a lot of different things. And one thing that he mentioned is that their level of engagement with a client varies a lot, where there'll be sometimes just team augmentation, or sometimes they'll do product management, or sometimes they'll fully come in and act as the client's engineering team for the time. So I'm curious, how do you, when you're engaging with a client, what's your process like for deciding the level of engagement that your team is going to be involved with?
Yeah, it's a good point, actually. And actually, it's our history of our company. So frankly speaking, we're pretty good at two things. So it's something called research when it's completely new. We have a lot of things which are not yet officially invented. The client would like to be sure that it will operate, it will live in the real world. And we have a situation the client has some old stuff, and it's been here for 20 years. Nobody knows what to do with that. And he would like to hire someone who can help him just to conduct an technological audit and propose how to convert that. And when we're talking about two key ideas, it means that we shall follow two maybe guidelines. We have to be pretty active to some extent for independence, and we have to maybe jump there and there pretty fast. So we have to verify different ideas, whether it works or not. And having that in mind, we are in pretty tough communication with engineering team on customer side. So, and when they will be able to look with us, communicate with us, they understand pretty well that we are near the same as they. It's pretty good. Maybe a little bit of different culture, so it's okay. But we belong to different technology area. We have a lot of samples and we have a lot of ideas, and we can tell maybe the good examples that this can be done that way. We have 2 or 3 or 5 successful implementation that work pretty good, and we can provide the references. And for us, the successful engagement is when we're highly entirely integrated with the engineering teams. And after that, we can speak about like just R&D, we can speak about product management, about just maybe outstaffing. Outstaffing is not the word I like to officially pronounce, but very often actually it starts with outstaffing. In mid-time, we switch back to outstaffing because clients said we have established process. Actually, you follow our process. You like your engineers. We trust you. So please add a couple of more engineers here. So we believe that it will be fruitful for both of us. So they will do something useful. So, and that's it. So we are pretty active. Sometimes we've been told that we're pretty aggressive. And because of that, we have pretty good relations with CTO guys. These folks would like to know exactly how and what we're going to do. And they would like to defend our architectural proposal. They would like to communicate with us how we or they are going to support it after going live, etc., etc., etc. And at the same time, we have pretty tough relations with CIO guys, which prefer to work like a black box. So here's like requirements, do that, here's fixed price. We can work that, but usually we have too many stupid questions. Stupid technological questions, because we're working.
What are some stupid questions that come through?
So, for example, the typical question about med startup. So, guys, do you understand it's medical startup? Yes, we understand. So, okay, for example, you are developing some like fancy user interface. Do you aware that you have to develop at least 2 of them? Okay, daylight interface and night interface. And for lakes, you have to think about like something in between. And you have to check with your risk management whether it's okay or not. But we have fancy interfaces like Apple or MacBook. Okay, but it doesn't work that way. When you submit your product to FDA approval, they will never pass it. And here like a lot of reasons. Another maybe topic, okay, guys, here like an idea that each product has to be verified with static analyzer. And there are some strict rules. And of course, it's not here, but maybe in 5 years, but we have to follow rules. And in order to follow them in 5 years, to be ready, we have to start right here because we know how it goes. And are you ready for that? And the typical topic, typical question for us, guys, are you sure that your software is a medical software? Because if it states so, then we have to use like multiplier, like 5-time multiplier, because we have to verify requirements, we have to conduct tests, we have to conduct loss configuration. There is some case like validation verification. And we can actually get rid of that, but then it's just a prototype, technology prototype. We can verify some technology fancy things, but being here for 20 years, we understand that goes nowhere. So, and here's actually our history, our experience that we're ready to share. So, and maybe just a good point. Some things we are educating our clients. So, you know your business area, you know the typical cases, and we know like the typical outcomes from different industries. So, here's the situation. So, if you're okay with that, then we can go that way. If you're not okay with that, we have some ideas. Maybe check with them. And so it happens with time. So usually we need some time just to achieve to that point. But usually it's all about trust. So we have to build trust each other. So client has to, full transparency. So he is able to access any of our engineers just to check the system, what is going on right here, right now. So, and then he can make a decision whether everything okay or not. So, and because of, we are very proud of our engineering, of our engineers, and we are proud of the fact that we can do very good applied things. We may be pretty bad at business from the business point of view, but our engineers are the best from the science, technology, engineering, maths, something like that. So it's typical STEM engineers. So,
well, I've heard a lot of people recently talking about how there's a shortage of like awesome coders in the labor market. How are you finding the best people?
So they're right. So it's impossible to find the huge amount of people right here, right now. And because of that, actually, we are doing the same. We're building networking with universities. So actually, we have our advertising in like it's Moscow State University. That guys. So you're here, we're there. So we're trying to conduct and here's like two types of marketing: marketing for clients, marketing for labor market. So guys, you're a student,
right?
You're a highly qualified engineer. So come to us. And here's the rumor that it's not easy to join our team. Of course, we have like freshmen, guys who just finished graduated from the institute, and there are plenty of them. But frankly speaking, they're mostly useless. They know how to code, but they know how to code being alone. It's to wait nowhere. But we know that in order to deliver a great product, we have to work as a team. And team actually can be small, maybe just 3 or 5 engineers. But every member of the team has its role. And every member of the team have to follow some rules. And because of that, when we hire someone, we train them. We faced this issue 15 years ago. Now the situation is even worse. So when engineers join our team, our company, then it trains maybe for 2 months, So there's technology training. So you know Java, it's perfect. But he's like dedicated one framework. And our client would like to use only this. And he typical, templates there. So please follow them. And besides that, he a lot of so-called soft skills. So usually I tend to agree that we have pretty good hard skills. But the soft skills about time management, communications, being time, promise what you do, what you promised, etc., etc. It's not an easy task. So, and this is about that. So, first of all, building relationship with universities, institutes, building large network for freshmen. So, guys, come with us. So, if you're ready to do some specific things, so here. And I would say that our medical clients help us a lot. Then we train them, and we have internal knowledge base. Knowledge base. So, it tricky things. It has 2 levels. So one, technical base, it's all about the product. So guys inside the team can share it freely. And on the top level, have a marketing description. So here was a case, here was a pain, and here was a solution. And we tried to soften this pain with a solution that works in that way. It helps the other engineers just to jump. There's the guys, they did something and they did that pretty good. Then can you just explain us on engineering level? So nothing specific. So because we respect the intellectual property of our clients. So, and it helps. It helps to entertain, first of all, the fresher. As they understand pretty well that there's not just some old stuff product. There's about 40 products or 40 projects that going right now, right here at the same time. And there's something interesting. So, and it helps us to retain the engineers. So it's always a problem. So what is better, service company like ours or product company? And we as a service company has one good or huge advantage. So we can, at any given time, can find a suitable project. If you get tired of technology, of your project manager, of your client, guys, you have another 40. Just choose. So it's our way. It's our way just to attack the people and retain them. And besides that,
so you're able to keep things fresh for your engineers.
Yeah, exactly. It's pretty important. engineer has to feel himself comfortable. So, and besides that,
Right.
we're trying to follow some soft skills rules. So we have the values, and we have to use these values on a daily basis. So, and we insisting that guys, if you join us, then you have to follow the rules. And the things that our clients anticipate from us, and many clients has chosen us because our values somehow correlate. So, and when our engineers communicate with their engineers, the engineer for clients, we think maybe a little bit different, but alike. And they understand pretty well that in case of some complicated situation, we will follow some rules, and it works pretty good, especially for the guys who trying to save some lives. So, and it's also like a community. And I would say that now the Zoomers and millennials, they tend to be something useful. They would like to be potentially useful for their generation. And when they're seeing that our company develops some project for ventilation, for example, they will like to be part of that project. So, and we utilizing that. So it's like nothing complex. So everything is simple. Just tell about the interesting things that you're holding right now.
That makes sense. Yeah, I recently we had another guest on the show for a company called Omatic, and they empower nonprofit organizations with technology to deal with big data. And he was talking about how, again, we were talking about the labor market and how it's hard to find good engineers, and especially in context with COVID making everyone work remote, it seems like now every company has to pay San Francisco prices for their engineers. And so, but he was saying the way that they're able to compete for engineers is by playing up their mission of how they help nonprofit organizations and do good in the world. And as you were saying, like, young engineers, millennials want to know that the work they're doing is doing some good in the world. So
exactly,
I think that's a common thread.
Yeah, exactly.
Here.
Yeah, and I believe that companies who would like to attract the new guys have to follow that trend. So, of course, actually, we have lots of engineers who quite mature, so not old. So, and they try to share their vision, and they see the situation from different angles. And now I would say that it's a good point that young engineers, they're quite active. They always disagree. They have their opinion. They would like to defend it, and it helps to build a better product. So it works especially well when we're developing something new. So I'm pretty good at that. Then maybe just the fact. So because actually we're operating mostly from Europe, Eastern Europe, and Russia, then I have to say that technically speaking, we have a large access to good engineers. So officially, in Russia holds the fourth place of the good STEM engineers. So United States is on the third place, and I believe that first place is India or China, and the second place is China or India. So, of course, actually we have like a pretty good labor market. We know how to attract engineers. We know how to get them entertained. So, and it helps us. So, nothing else.
All right, let's talk about cost savings with an outsourcing for cost savings. So let's say I'm the CTO at a small startup and our app is really starting to take off, and I decide I need to outsource engineers to meet demand. What's the most cost-savvy approach to take there while still making sure you're getting quality people and quality work?
Well, tough question, pretty tough, especially today. So traditionally, when we're answering this question, we're trying to the name for things like the size of the company, its reputation, the values, and skill set. So, and starting like with the size. So, size has to be right. The size of our company, excuse me. So, actually, because if the company is too big, huge company, for example, like HCL or VIP or something like that. So it's huge companies. Then if you're just a small startup, you are not interested for them. They can actually staff huge teams for 100, for 1,000 engineers. But you will never receive the same amount of attention that you may receive from the company like our company.
That makes sense. Yeah.
At the same time, if you're just trying to negotiate like with small companies, then they will be too dependent from you. So we as a company can say no. So we are not going just to pursue this project because actually it's not interesting for us. And we understand pretty well that we cannot perform good here. So, and we may say, okay, so excuse us, but we are not ready. We may recommend you someone because actually we know a lot of guys here. But here's actually a good point. So you have to find maybe a partner who will be near your size, and you have to understand that your size of engagement will be interesting for him. So it's actually just maybe hint.
That's really interesting. I didn't realize that the size of the company would play such a large role in, and like it seems like you have to get that just right, because so if they're too small, they'll take on any project because they need to stay alive. But if they're too large, they won't give you the attention you need. You need someone that's like sized so that they turn down the projects that aren't right for them. And if your project is a good fit, they'll take it on and do a great job.
Exactly.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah. Then we're talking about, reputation. So, and here's maybe like an important point. So if you check any website of any IT company, they look exactly the same. The same claim, the same actually maybe values, the same people, the same photo, the same project, everything the same, and everyone is happy. But and you, frankly speaking, you can choose any of them. But after that, you have to ask for a reference. Okay, guys, you're here, you have some ideas, we believe you, so you explain the situation pretty good, but can you share references? And I would recommend to take references from someone local. So if, for example, we would like to win some project in North America, then we can share some North American references. If we would like to win some project in Germany, we would share some German references. So it helps. So the people with the same cultural traditions will verify some important topics for them. And after that, they could really make a decision whether you use them or not. So it's pretty important. So it's pretty important that you actually really declare the things that you are going to implement. And it helps us. We have 30 years history, so we have a plenty of references, and we can provide them. So it helps us to start new business so pretty well. And then you have to check the values, because actually, I would say the startups usually are very aggressive. They would like someone pretty fast. People has to make some commitment, etc., etc., etc. But so we're active. We can be also aggressive, but in general, our engineers expect ourselves. Okay, guys, we can do that, but without any commitment. So it will work somehow. But in 50% of the cases, it will fail. So if you're okay with that, let's try. If you're not okay with that, please, don't fall that way. So it's like mental things that comes due to the fact that we're working for medtech. Working for medtech, for avionics, it's impossible just to deliver a product which will work only in 50% of the cases. So whatever you do, actually, the plane shall fly. The medical device shall save the life of the patient. So zero tolerance. And this is maybe one of the issue of the topics that we have to explain to every newcomer. Okay, guys, it's not just a website. When you see like something, well, you saw an exception. It doesn't work that way. So you will kill someone, definitely. Maybe not one time. So, and because of that, it's better. It's almost better when the values are nearly company values, nearly the same. So at least you declare them. And actually speaking, your reputation can confirm or not confirm that. So I would say that usually high reputation confirms that you follow your values. Yeah, but we're starting with reputation, then we're switching to the values. And then It's a right skill set. And here is also good interesting point. So if you're developing something actually pretty new, then the situation typical pretty complicated. There are nobody on the market which knows some skill set. And this is the reason why actually your partner, your outsourcing partner, has to hire someone and train them. And if you're okay with that, then okay, and you trust the partner, trust the methodology of training, of staffing the team, then actually the current skill set doesn't make any sense. But if you want to receive something like right here, right now, then of course you have to check the right skill set. Yeah, and of course, actually, typically there's a companies who has like narrow focus. For example, it's our company, it's embedded and medtech. Some companies like huge enterprise application. So, and we actually not only medtech, we work in R&D. We know machine learning, we work in big data. We work with them. But for us, it's just a tool. It's not our focus. We can explain our clients how they can utilize that in order to achieve their goals. So, and so he's like 4 things, like size, reputation, values, and skill set. And if you're okay with any of them, then you possibly find a suitable partner. But it's not so easy.
It's not that easy, yeah.
Yeah, not that easy. Then you have to make an agreement about the engagement type, whether it will be a fixed price project or agile.
Right, so this comes back to like making sure that the team's going to be the right level of engagement, as we were talking about before. Yeah.
That makes sense. And here's actually the typical situation. So, I was young, every project were only fixed price. So his requirements, his like estimates, and he like a price and deadlines. And normally, actually, every company actually managed to follow the deadlines and budget. But now we have like agile. So agile help us to develop something unique. We don't waste time on negotiations, so it's perfect. But the budget. So I would say that if we're talking about typical system level product, then budget will be 50% greater. But if we're talking about typical enterprise application, but I would say 500. So it's due to engagement type. And this is the reason why actually many C4 actually pretty unhappy when they see like a typical agile contract. The CTO are pretty happy. They would receive whatever they would like to in the time they would like to. But C4 start asking the hard question. Okay, guys, how much will it cost? What is the end date? And because of that, I would say that there are maybe 3 or 4 important time frames, like the first 3 months, the first 6 months, the first year, and the first 3 years. Yeah, so when you're just building a relationship, everything is fine. But usually after 3 months, you have to deliver something. And this something has to be delivered everywhere. So business users have to use it. And at this point, you have many disappointments because usually technical guys are pretty happy. But business user can tell that, okay, guys, it's something else. I thought I will get something else. And this is useless for me. So, and we have to quickly change the course, and we have to bring the end users on the board. And at this point, they start really help to manage the project. Before that, that was okay for them. Okay, do whatever we do. We have requirements. But after 3 months, they understand that no, so they have to be part of the team. And then actually, we have to deliver something. The 6 months usually actually is time frame when our business users happy or unhappy. So if they're happy, then everything is okay, and we're going weiter. And after 1 year, usually actually comes the CFO and starts asking hard questions. Okay, guys, so you ask for 200 case, but you spend 500 case. So it's 2 times more, 2 times greater. So can we do something with that? And we have to negotiate that on a contractual level, on the business level, whether it's cost-savvy or cost-effective or not cost-effective. So, and usually, if we good the great product, then CTO defend us. So usually, we influence the company through the technical guys because we are pretty tightly integrated. We are pretty good integrated with tightly integrated engineering teams. Then CTO, product manager, customer experts for our company, and they somehow advocates. And C4 can say, okay. But on the 30, the situation may change another time. And say, okay, guys, we become big. We're spending too huge budget for you, or maybe too small budget for you. So we believe it's a time just to add a second vendor. And we tend to agree that second vendor, maybe it's a good option just to speed up the activity of the first vendor. And actually, I have to say that Auriga is a typical second vendor.
Oh, really?
Usually we've been added as an alternative. And it's quite interesting, despite the fact that we are quite small as a company and quite small maybe as a budget allocated to us. We are working like catalyzer. So we boost the productivity of the first vendor pretty good. And they're trying to poke us, and it helps us to be on a higher level.
That's interesting. So when you're working as the second vendor, who is it that actually hires you? Is it the first vendor hiring you to improve them, or is it the original client?
Original client, of course, original client. No, it works that way. So for some reason, the original client made a conclusion that the current vendor isn't good enough, and some changes have to be made somehow. And but before they're going to make some drastic changes, they would like to be sure that the second vendor is something really second. It can bring some value. Yeah, and then they start to searching for the typical search process, procurement process. They look for us, and this is also quite interesting. So usually we always come to the same situation. We enter the shortlist, like company number 4, and in this list we have two values. We have the highest price, but we have the best technical approach. So, and here is the situation when CTO fights with CFO on the customer side.
Yeah.
And because we know how to negotiate with CTO, we help them to win the battle. So, yeah, it's like basis of outsourcing for clients. So, and we usually tell about that. We usually tell about that to our clients, because guys, if you would like to enhance the performance, you can hire 2 companies at once, especially if you're quite new to outsourcing.
So being at the higher end of the price spectrum, do you guys ever have clients that are in your sales cycle and then they end up leaving the sales cycle to go try someone else, and then they come back to you because the company that they went to in the first place wasn't satisfactory, and they realize, oh, we do need the higher level of quality, please help?
Yeah, it happens so quite often. And the situation, so maybe the typical situation, because we have the best technical description, best technical approach. Usually we have a phase when we conduct so-called the defense of our technical approach. So here's the requirements, here our proposal, our architecture. We are going to do this in that time frame. It will cost that way. And we were ready to discuss our approach with any of your vendors. So usually if it happens, then usually we win. So, but sometimes it goes other way. So I would say maybe 4 times of 5 it goes other way. 1 time we win. But maybe in 1 year, then some project managers start calling us, okay, guys, yeah, you were right. So the general amount of the project and the general approach was exactly that was described in your proposal. So we start thinking about bringing you on board. So it happens. But in our case, usually it takes about 1 or 2 years. So it takes some time.
I feel like when you get those clients that come back, though, they got to be the best clients to have because they really have an appreciation for what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
That makes sense. So you guys are based mainly in Europe and Russia, right?
Exactly.
So what are some of the other, I know China and India are large outsourcing destinations in the world. Do you find yourself not just competing with other companies, but competing with entire countries in a sense?
I would say no. Because, for example, so we have some negotiations with India and China guys. And more, I would say that we work indirectly for some China companies. But in general, the idea is so. The China and Indian companies would like to have like an external interface to their European clients. They're quite big, but for some reason they're unable to communicate with European clients because of the cultural differences. So sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not good. And we are in the same time zone. We have some clients, we know the typical issues, and we have to communicate them actually in their time zone with their cultural peculiarities, I would say. At the same time, we have teams who knows how to negotiate with guys in India or China. Just maybe like a typical approach. And the situation with salaries in China and India is quite interesting. So at some points, the typical hourly rate, so I dislike this word, but it exists, the hourly rates, they're higher than the hourly rates in Russia, for example. So, and this is the reason why we're not competing with the countries. We're competing with technology, with the ability to build the right process, the right teams. So I'm used to use the word right teams, right skills, right technology, right values, right size. So, and because of that, if you're doing everything right, then you win. So, and it doesn't matter whether you're Russian, Indian, American, or German guy. So
that makes sense, yeah. And so I feel like outsourcing in the past has been kind of taboo to talk about at companies at times. Do you feel like the world has opened up more to outsourcing because of COVID and remote work?
Exactly. So it was a joke. So actually, we had a lot of clients who were not yet our clients because actually they've been too afraid of outsourcing. And
really?
There's nearshoring, offshoring, actually. So we're in North America and you're in Europe. Actually, it's two different continents. And we're unable to communicate. So despite the fact that we have a reference, they have some doubts. But then we have a quarantine situation. Everyone work from home. And they discovered the fact that they're unable to manage their own team. And the outsourcing companies actually were the only companies who set up the right process. They know how to manage the resources remotely. And we actually help a lot of our current clients to manage their teams. Because actually we had such experience and we've been highly integrated, tightly integrated with them. So at some points, actually, we've been, dragged the product management and program management to our managers, just because of the COVID situation. And we actually taught our clients how to manage resource rights. And because of that, actually, so I believe that the idea to outsource to another continent is not a problem now. So everyone does that. And so situation changed drastically. But the outsourcing company knows how to manage resources. And unfortunately, you not yet. So this is our advantage.
That makes sense.
But situation may change actually, and our clients will know how to do that. But I think that we also master our skills. So
yeah. So I've heard you mention a lot of different words for outsourcing, or whether it's outsourcing, outstaffing, nearshoring, offshoring. Can you clear up the differences between those and where you and Auriga position yourselves?
Outsourcing and outstaffing. Outstaffing, maybe simplest way of outsourcing. When clients would like to get our engineers for a couple of weeks, it may be a good point to start, especially when you are a new company or fresh on the market. So, but usually it's a way to nowhere. So, and we can help our client conduct like free consultancy. But in general, actually, we would like to set up a service. Okay, guys, let's hire a team. So when we have like a balanced team of testers, like architectural guys who can do whatever they would like to. And the idea is the following. We would like to be a pair to your engineers. Typically, the engineers on client side know what they would like to achieve, that they have a lack of like some practical knowledge in this particular area. So they know what, we know how. So, and then we have to match each other. And when we're doing this way, then we're quite successful. So we're talking about service of project management, sometimes product management, and it's quite important. So I know lots of technologically advanced companies. They develop great products, but they don't know how to manage software projects. So because it's not the key proficiency. And when they communicate with us, there are lots of miracles for them. So, and sometimes they stick to our process, so construction situation. And this code, I don't know, service as a service, service platform, sorry, because this way. So, and so our staffing is the simplest way of outsourcing. There's some other words we can say, like managed services.
Right.
So I believe that many clients use that. So when we add something, so in general, if we can add values other than just the heads of engineers, then we join the engagement. If we cannot, then say, okay, guys, excuse me, but not. Nearshoring and offshoring or some. So nearshoring, so it's an idea quite simple. So if you are in the same country, maybe on the same continent, then it's nearshoring.
Got it.
So the idea is just your partner can join you so pretty fast, and normally they follow the same cultural tradition. So you wouldn't expect any cultural differences. It helps to start quite fast. Offshoring, different continent like North America, Europe, or Asia. So nothing else. So, and having that in mind, that when we have the COVID situation and everyone is remote, then it doesn't matter. So offshoring, nearshoring, so ask for managed services. And if your potential vendor can describe you what will add as a value, then you can track him.
That makes sense. Thanks for explaining that. That makes a lot more sense now. So we're coming up on time. As we're wrapping up, what's like, there's so many outsourcing providers. What's like the main difference that you guys have come to find to be your best differentiating factor, the reason people keep coming back to you?
Okay, so we simply deliver. We simply deliver what we have promised before. So, and Auriga is a company that delivers. So maybe it's our primary actually slogan that we can actually share with our clients. And we have our values actually: act with integrity, work as a team, self excellence, focus on the client, and we love what we do. Because of that, we deliver. So quite simple.
Very cool. And I know you've talked a lot about how values are super important to make sure that your company values are aligned when you're looking for an outsourcing provider. So how do you define your values at Auriga? And yeah, let's start with that, and then I have a follow-up question.
Well, it's a hard question. So initially, they've been actually just invented. So it was like an idea of founder. So okay, guys, we have to follow some rules, and it was the idea that maybe not a strict rules to follow them, but when you have like a history of negotiation, history of engagement, and you understand pretty fast that you're facing the people who really share them, then you have to stick to them and to accumulate the amount of people who support that. And now I believe that it's quite a good tradition. So of course, every 5 years, we change them a little because actually they have to be familiar for a new generation.
Right.
So people have to support them. They have to be clear for understanding. But the meaning is the same. The phrases may be a little bit different, but the meaning is the same. So it works the same. So it's a history. It's like English loan. So you have to cut them for 2,000 years, and then it will be perfect. The same for us. We have 30 years. I can't say it's perfect, but it works pretty good.
When you first joined Auriga, was the company a lot smaller?
Yeah, exactly. So it was about maybe 100 engineers. So now it's 600.
So how have you seen the company values evolve as the company has grown 6 times?
So the values maybe officially wasn't changed, but we've been trained a lot how to work as a team. And we've been maybe not trained, used to how to act with integrity. We have to tell the truth, but tell the truth, I say politely. So it's easy to say that it will not work because we have some doubts. But we can say that, guys, we have some doubts that it will work in time, but we will propose this. And you have to be aware of that we maybe not meeting the deadlines, and this helps. And when the team grows bigger, then we have to train our engineers to utilize the soft skills. Because actually, when it's 100, you know each one. You know by name, so actually you know the birth dates, you know the kinders, the child, etc., etc. But then like 600, and you have 7 different cities, then it's impossible. But you have to communicate, and you have to communicate right, polite, and bearing in mind your cultural differences. And so our founder put a lot of effort on training, puts a lot on teaching me how to negotiate right. So, and I would say that for me, it was, of course, I changed the position, but every time I had a mentor, and the mentor told me, Vyacheslav, here's the time. So you change your role. It's a different angle. See that way, so not this way. And you have to more like a diplomat, more communicator, other than like just a manager. So, and this is like a time of permanent soft skill training for me. So, and I would say like when the company goes up 6 times, so we trained soft skills each time. So maybe it's not a clear answer, but it's my impression of the situation.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. You got to focus more. Obviously, when there's more people, you got to focus more on how well you work together. And to do that, you have to improve your soft skills. All right, one last thing, we're wrapping up. What's the call to action? How do people get in touch with you and have Auriga build some awesome technology for them?
So just our website, www.auriga.com. So, and you have like contacts. So you have actually, you can guys in North America, in Boston, or in Europe, in Vilnius, or even in Russia, in Moscow. So, and you can just write me. So I believe you can share my email with you. So Vyacheslav.Vanyulin@auriga.com. So just send the request, and perhaps actually we can establish a fruitful relation.
Thank you so much for listening. And if you found this episode useful, please share it with a friend or a colleague who you think would get value from it. And if you have topics that you'd like to hear discussed on the podcast, either add me on LinkedIn or send me an email, joel@moderncto.io. Every time I get an email or LinkedIn message, it absolutely makes my day and inspires me to keep going.